We are not real brewers because we have a real job. I'm a graphic designer, and that's kind of a sideline. We decided to create a non-alcoholic brand because in the non-alcoholic world, we found that there was a lack of communication and clarity about the non-alcoholic beer. Everyone is just writing in small that it's an alcohol-free beer, and for us, we decided to know we want something really big and bold, something that's going to embrace the non-alcoholic beer, and we wanted to create a brand that we would be proud to be non-alcoholic beer. So that's why it's so big and clear that it's sans alcool.
Hey, what's up, Vox and Hops heads? I'm Matt, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, brought to you by Sound Talent Media, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians to talk about their lives, music, and craft beer. I most certainly hope you had a great week. I most certainly have. We are now officially past the halfway mark of Vox and Hops' Sober February, during which all of the content for this month is focused on having a balanced relationship with alcohol. It is a subject that I believe is truly important, and I hope that you have been enjoying these episodes as much as I have been. Having a balanced relationship with alcohol is something that we should all strive to do. Craft beer is delicious, but, too much of any good thing is a bad thing. So let's all strive to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer responsibly and smartly together. Before we jump into today's episode, I'd just like to encourage you to subscribe to the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast on the podcast platform of your choice if you have not already. If you have, something else that you could do would be to rate it or write a review, because when you do that, it will help other metalheads just like yourself discover the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast. You have to look at these reviews as if you are shopping on Amazon. What do we do when we're shopping on Amazon? We go and we read the reviews. If the product has a bunch of great reviews, what are we going to do? We're going to buy it. It's exactly the same thing when people are perusing new podcasts to discover. What do? They scroll down to the review section, and they want to make sure that this podcast is worth their time. So by writing a review, you could be the person that sways someone's decision to listen to the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, and that would be something that I truly appreciate. Also, don't forget, you can join the Vox and Hops newsletter, which I have just launched. You can do that by going to my website, voxandhops.com. That is VOXandHOPS.com. And when you do, you shall receive one email a week containing all of the details of everything that has happened throughout the past week in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, including any details for any episodes that I've dropped. If I've been a guest on someone else's podcast, there will also be the links to the upcoming live interviews at Thirsty Thursday Virtual Hangs, as well as the links to the updated Brutal Awakenings playlists, which is curated by my man, Jerry Monk himself. Do yourself a favor. Sign up to the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast newsletter, because I don't want you to miss a single thing. Now, on today's episode, I am with a very young brewery that I am a huge fan of, and they are perfect for Vox and Hops' Sober February because they only make non-alcoholic beers. Get ready, everyone. This is Vox and Hops episode number 233 with Jerome and Yann of Bière Sans Alcool.
I warn you, what you are about to hear is very disturbing indeed.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today, I'm with Jerome Gagnon Yann Carrière from Bière Sans Alcool. How are you guys doing?
We're good, thanks.
Pretty good, thanks. And you?
Very, very good. I am a big fan of what you guys do. Very cool brewery, young brewery from here in Quebec, Montreal, Quebec region, the province of Quebec, and just non-alcoholic brews. I love it. This is, of course, happening during my Sober February, so I wanted to reach out and to connect with some breweries that I really enjoy that are just simply only doing non-alcoholic brews. You guys launched in mid-May during a pandemic. I want to hear about that. Let's start right there. Let's go and see, how was your glorious year, your glorious launch year of 2020?
Good question. I'd say it was pretty weird. Actually, like when just before we started out, we asked ourselves, do we actually want to launch the project? we had been working on it for at least
Almost
like
a
close to a
year.
year. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we like the pandemic just like really started, like the real crisis, in March really started just like a few weeks before we planned on launching. So yeah, the question came to our mind, like, do we actually launch or we just abandon the whole thing? So yeah, we just decided to do it, and finally it's been a pretty good year because it's been some sort of a good how do you say that in English? Un drôle d'hasard ou un hasard positif for us, like
A happy circumstance.
yeah, happy
Yeah.
circumstances. Because like feels like people are kind of changing their habits. They started to drink a lot more at home because they couldn't go to the bar anymore. So yeah, that kind of played in our favor on that side. So we're glad that we actually did launch the project.
That is very true that a lot of people, myself included, when the pandemic hit, I was very concerned about my local craft beer scene. So I was pushing all my listeners. I was supporting as much local beer as I could, which also led me to drinking a lot more local beer in the confines of my house. And it's always nice to have a nice non-alcoholic beer to balance things out. So let's talk exactly about your first beers. Let's go right there. Do you remember the very first beer that you guys ever had?
First beer.
Oh
For me, I think it wasn't a beer. It was I was really young, and I think it was an alcoholic drink, the Tornade.
Hell
It was
yes.
kind of a really cheap alcohol, berry tasting malt alcohol, and oh yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. But I remember that Cheval Blanc was one of my favorite beer when I began to drink. I was really in love with the white East beer.
Absolutely. And most of my listeners definitely know that I went down the dark tunnel of Tornade beers. When I was in my late high school, that was exactly, and the berry was my poison of choice as well. How about you, Jerome?
I'm pretty sure I went through that avenue too, but yeah, I'd say for a real beer, I guess it was like almost every teenager out there. I just had probably something like a Molson Dry or Molson X or Labatt Bleu or something like that,
And how about you? What would have been the beer that opened your eyes to more? Cheval Blanc was Yann's. What was your beer that opened up your eyes?
I think it must have been like Fin du Monde or something like among those lines in like the mid 2000s, like around 2004 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a heavy one. It was always a mistake to open the second one.
Yeah, exactly. Every single time.
I was, of course, drawn to Unibrew products because of their super metal labels. I love them to this day.
Yeah.
And dangerous 9% ABV brews. You guys don't mess with that though. You guys dance around the 0.5% ABV. So let's drink a beer together. Let's see what we got going on. What do you guys want to drink tonight? I have them all here, so I'll let you guys choose.
We should start with the IPA, right, Joel?
Yeah, I guess so.
Perfect. Which is the first one that you guys came out on market, which I think is interesting. Excellent. It looks cool. I saw it and I wanted to try it. So let's crack these open. Let's pour these out. And I'm very curious as to why this was the first beer. Why did you choose this one to be the introduction to the Quebec market?
At the beginning, we decided to make an IPA because it was the safe choice to begin. Because everyone wants the IPA, and when you brew a non-alcoholic beer, IPA is a good way to balance all the thing that's missing because the alcohol is not there. So with the houblon and the amertume, you're able to give a little bit of more body for the beer because the alcohol gives so much, give a really big body when you have it, and when you don't, you really feel that something is missing. So that's why with the IPA, it's a little bit easier to balance everything. So that's why we decided to start with the safe shot. Let's say that.
Hello, do you agree with that, Jerome?
Yeah, I do.
You guys open up yours. I'm going to smell this one.
Yep.
It smells right. It smells light. It smells bitter. Cheers, Santé.
Cheers.
It's nice. It's got a good hop profile. It feels like a beer, which a lot of non-alcoholic beers don't anymore. It feels something strange, like a hybrid of something, which is this one definitely feels like a beer. Mm-hmm. Cheers, Yann.
Yeah, thank you very much. Cheers. And like the name is saying, it's a IPA Douce, so it's a soft IPA. We decided to craft a beer with the soft amertume, bitterness. We didn't want something really hard to drink, and that's why we decided to make something really smooth and easy to drink.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much the story behind it. I think we felt like the other non-alcoholic IPAs on the market were pretty bitter, and that's when the hops profile or taste really like splits with the rest of the body of the beer, let's say. So
very cool.
So that's why we took that direction actually.
Excellent. And what did you play with to get it there? Is it just the right hop combinations? The way you hopped it, what made it so much softer than the other ones on the market here?
Honestly, I think it's just that we don't put as much hops as other brands. It's really that simple.
Let's go back in time. I want to hear your whole brewer stories. So how did you guys end up becoming brewers? Let's start with you, Yann.
We are not real brewers because we have a real job. I'm a graphic designer, and that's kind of a sideline. We decided to create a non-alcoholic brand because there was a lack of in the non-alcoholic world. We found that there was a lack of communication and clarity about the non-alcoholic beer. Everyone is just writing in small character that it's an alcohol-free beer, and for us, we decided to know we want something really big and bold, something that's going to embrace a non-alcoholic beer, and we wanted to create a brand that we would be proud to be in non-alcoholic beer. So that's why it's so big and clear that it's sans alcool, and that's why we decided to jump into that business and to create that and to brew non-alcoholic beer. That's how I'll start the thing with Jerome and his brother Philippe.
Interesting. And you, Jerome, your brewer story. Are you someone that brewed beer before owning a non-alcoholic brewery?
I brewed. I home brewed a lot with my ex coloc and friends, and but it's been some years ago. But Philippe, my brother, which was also in the business, has been a beer geek for a very long time, and it's pretty deep down the rabbit hole, let's say. So that all started out with him like telling me we should do something about it. Like there's not that much good stuff on the market. There's some space. And personally, I was also coming to a place in my life where I really reduced my own consumption. So and that's something I also witnessed around me. Like my friends are also reducing the alcohol they're drinking. So basically we're not really like brewers. We're contract brewing. We're creating our recipes with a good friend of mine who's gonna actually release his own brewery soon.
Very cool.
So that's how we do it right now.
Excellent. Excellent. Contract brewing, anyone doesn't know, is you guys come with your recipe, you give it to another brewery, and they brew your beer for you, which is an excellent way to start out, but it has its ups and downs, as I've discussed on other podcasts before. Now, exactly, let's dive into what is a non-alcoholic beer. How do you make a non-alcoholic beer versus a beer, a standard beer with alcohol? What is the secret?
You're the expert.
I don't think there's like much of a secret to it. By that I mean that like the techniques are all pretty well known, at least in the beer industry itself. I don't know about your followers, but I guess I'd say it's a pretty standard process actually. It's just that you're gonna stop fermentation earlier than you would do with a normal beer. The fermenting temperatures and stuff like that are different, but the grain bill, the malts used are pretty close to a normal beer. You can use some like special yeast, like low
Fermentation.
low fermentation yeast and stuff like that. But I think it all comes down to your personal taste. Like we had a vision from the start. We had a vision of what we wanted to target with those beers, actually, and I think so far it's been pretty well translated to reality, like what we had in mind. So yeah, I guess like some other companies, as we said before, like kind of targeted the more bitter kind of IPAs and stuff like that, and it feels like it works well for them. We wanted to do something a bit different on that side of things, and we also wanted to do something different in terms of branding and communications and graphic design, because we come from that field. So yeah, I think it all like sticks together in the way that we want to do some things differently, generally speaking.
Which is why breweries work nowadays. All the hype breweries have good product, good visual, and a good concept behind it. So this is why Bière Sans Alcool is working so well in 8 months. What is the difference now? I've been dancing around with a bunch of low ABV beers recently, non-alcoholic, and then I've been seeing these. What is the difference between a non-alcoholic 0.5% versus the de-alcoholized? What in the process of making the beer?
How we are creating our beer is because we're going to stop the fermentation, like Jerome said, about 0.2, 0.3%, and then with the special technique, we really stop the fermentation in the can, so it will never have alcohol in it. But some brewery that have a lot of money have some kind of filter and something that we call osmose inversée that can really take out the alcohol of the beer. So those projects are a little bit different because they have all the time that the beer have a lot of time into the fermentation
tanks.
Bright tanks. Yeah.
So the arome and the subtlety of the beer is a little bit more present because the yeast and everything is together for a more long period of time. And then after that, if your beer have a bigger percent of alcohol, a higher percent of alcohol, you can just take it out with those kind of filter. But we don't have that technology because it's something really, really expensive. So that's why some beer can have that 0.0, and we have that zero. We're almost 0.2, 0.3, but we wrote 0.5 because it's the way to wrote it. But it's more something like 0.2, 0.3.
Yeah, it's like the legal appellation.
Yeah,
It's like under 0.5. It's like the way you gotta write it, unless you're really like de-alcoholized or alcohol-free. I think is also a different way of saying it. We could not say alcohol-free. I think we have to say non-alcoholic
because there's still a little micro trace hypothetically.
Yeah, it's not de-alcoholized. Yeah.
I've spoken to some people, and sometimes if they don't keep the beers cold, it will re-ferment in the can and bring up the ABV, and is that something that can happen?
With our beers, it should not, but yeah, that's some kind of a horror story that happened to a lot of other brands in the last 2 years. So I think a lot of people learned that the hard way. but yeah, like there's a in the process there's a pasteurization that happens at some time, and that prevents that from happening. I cannot say it would never happen, but like the chances are pretty thin to happen.
Excellent. And we need more craft beer stores to keep their cold beer all the time. It's nice to have a big selection, but I want it to be cold, and the brews deserve to be cold.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the local scene. Of course, when I think of non-alcoholic beer, the first one that pops to mind is Le Boqueo.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably the first ones making some killer craft non-alcoholic brews.
Mm-hmm.
Was there some inspiration there? Is that someone that you definitely drank and thought that this is a good idea?
Yeah, sure. They definitely have like took the first spot, let's say, for a couple of years already. So they really were some kind of a model for us. Like they're pioneers in that field in Quebec, at least. So yeah. So it definitely was part of the inspiration. But still, we wanted to do like different kind of flavors than them, and target a different audience too. So yeah.
Awesome. How about in the world? I've had the pleasure of drinking a few non-alcoholic brews from around the globe, Mikkeller notably, and Brewdog from the UK and from the States, both killer non-alcoholic brews. What would be some of the worldwide non-alcoholic brews that you would say are the best out there?
I think Mikkeller was a big inspiration for us. Their projects are really good, and they're well made. It's really feel like a craft beer, and their design is really nice. The cans and everything are really beautiful. So yeah, it was a kind of inspiration for us, and it was a goal to be as good as them.
Awesome. I do think it's also another, like, Le Boqueo still makes alcoholic beers too.
Yeah.
You guys just went non-alcoholic, and I love that. I love having a vision and a plan. You guys have some other beers also interesting. We have the first one that came out after this IPA was the Tropical Sour.
Yeah.
Which is also very, very interesting. Nice sour kick to it, tropical vibes. In this one, though, you're playing with natural flavors. Talk me through that. Explain this beer to people. What the difference is from the IPA to going there.
Well, it's actually a totally different taste. Obviously, it's not in the hops. It's really more on the tart feeling. So again, we thought it was some kind of lacking on the market right now to have a good sour beer. There was the Mikkeller, how is it called?
The raspberry one, I think.
There's the raspberry one, but also the it's a sour.
A lemon one, a lime and lemon one, I think.
No, it's more like the actually I think it's tropical something, but
Okay.
But yeah, we kind of wanted to target something in those. Autour de ça. So yeah, it's a totally different idea. Same thing for the IPA. Like, we wanted to do something easy to drink. We didn't want it to be like so tart that you're just like gritting your teeth. And so we tried to target that's like sweet spot of tartness and just good feeling, good vibes,
And we launched that beer into the sun last summer.
Mm-hmm.
So we really wanted something that feels summer, and something that's going to be easy to drink at the park, and something fun, and really that remember you the sun and good times. So that's why we created that drink that tastes a little bit more tropical taste of peach and something around that.
Yeah, delicious. I love it. Let's talk about using the natural flavors with everything that's coming in the world of craft beer. The year of the seltzer is upon us, and I know that they play with natural flavors. Is that the same type of ingredients that you guys are using?
Hard to tell, honestly. Like, I'm not sure like exactly what you are referring to, but yeah, like natural flavors are basically concentrated flavors from fruits. So in a way, it really helps us to make a product that is stable first. And also that really brings the flavors that we want to reach with that. With the raspberry, we really wanted to use like raspberries, so it's really different.
Yes.
But it's still among the same, same kind of lines. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Excellent.
Because something that we forgot to said is that when you brew a non-alcoholic beer, you need to have less sugar than possible.
Yes.
So if we put a lot of real fruit into the mix, we will rise the level of sugar, and sugar is alcohol.
Exactly.
So less sugar possible for our beer. So that's why it's kind of really tricky when we develop a beer, because we need to think about all those things to have a really low profile of sugar and for the fermentation, everything like that. So that's why we decided to go with that technique for those beers.
Excellent. Smart. Very smart. Let's talk about the future of Bière Sans Alcool. What other styles, if you could just come up with, I don't know if you have anything actually in the works that you can unveil, but you guys have done some sours, you've done the IPAs. Where else would you like to take the brand in the future?
We are releasing soon a fourth flavor. It's gonna be like a Czech Pilsner.
Nice.
Which is pretty trendy in the beer world, let's say, in the last 1 or 2 years. So yeah, we wanted to do something more classic, because right now we would just release, as you know, like 2 fruity sours. So we didn't want to be like categorized as the fruity beers company. We don't want to do only that. So yeah, we're gonna go towards a Pilsner, something easy to drink for the summer, something fun and light. And we try to give it a special touch. We're hoping people are gonna like it. And I think like more long term, we want to release some sort of like a new series, let's say, even more like craft or more niche. We don't know if it's gonna happen this year, because we're already like releasing 4 SKUs in under like 9 or 10 months. So that's already a lot of work for us. But yeah, hopefully we can have that second series by the end of 2021.
That's very, very exciting. I love it. And Czech Pilsner is the way to go. Excellent. Very excited about that. It's Vox and Hops, so we have to talk about metal. When I hit you guys up about this, you were like, well, we're not really the biggest metalheads, but everyone has that one metal story. So have you guys ever listened to metal? What bands would that be? And even if it was a long time ago.
Yeah, go first.
Okay. I think that I never really listened metal, but at when I was in high school, and still right now, I was listening a lot of. I know it's not metal, but I was listening a lot of System of a Down and Korn and those kind of bands that were really popular into the late maybe 2005 or something like that. And yeah, so System of a Down was a big thing for me when I was at the high school.
Excellent. And there's no shame. I am a new metal child. I totally grew up on Korn and System of a Down. And I was very excited when they released those 2 new songs late last year. So no shame, Yann. And it absolutely is metal. Metal is a huge umbrella that covers many different genres. So no shame. So you are a mini metalhead. I love it.
But System of a Down is a punk band, right?
No, they're definitely in the metal umbrella. They have like tendencies of punk, but they're definitely firmly planted in the world of metal, in my humble opinion. How about
I
you,
love
Jerome?
metal.
I'd say like my very first experience with metal must have been like with oh my god, what is it? I just had it before. Anyways, I'm gonna skip to the good stuff. Oh yeah, Rage Against the Machine.
There you go. Yep.
Some sort of metal.
Of course, yes. Yeah, okay. It's got some groove to it. It's heavy.
Yeah.
It's angsty. There's aggression.
It is still pretty good, actually. Once in a year, we just like listen to the whole album with my friends, kind of a tradition. But yeah, like in some kind of another life, I had a metal progressive band, like over 10 years ago. It was called State of the Art. We did a lot of shows, and during that time I was like 17 or 18, and it was like a bit influenced by like Dream Theater kind of bands, you know. Sure, you know.
Of course.
So yeah, that we were in that scene, let's say. But that's really like behind me right now.
A different life.
Yeah.
What instrument did you play?
I was singing actually.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, progressive, all clean vocals.
Yeah, all clean vocals.
Were you any good?
I was trying at the time that like the hardcore, metal hardcore, screamo, name it, trends were really big. So I kind of started screaming at some point, but it was like almost impossible to switch between clean and screaming. So yeah.
It is a very, very hard task that not many people can accomplish. But were you a proficient singer? Did you have pipes, and do you still sing?
You mean today? I don't really sing anymore. But I had until a few years ago, I had a band with called Horloge.
Oh, very cool.
In French, and we were doing like folk. Like some kind of folk prog.
Very cool.
Québécois.
There you go. You still
like
got it.
Harmonium or yeah. But today I don't do music anymore. Really, I don't have time for that. Unfortunately.
Beer has taken.
But you have a really nice voice.
Oh, very cool. And harmonium rocks. I love them. Totally love them. Let's wrap this up with a classic wrap-up question at this point. It probably doesn't happen to you guys very often at all because you guys brew non-alcoholic brew, but every once in a while, it happens to everyone. What are your hangover cures?
You mean like our best of?
No, but when you're hungover and you wake up and something happens, you get out of hand the night before, what are the steps that you take to make yourself feel better?
For me, it's brunch. Our morning brunch. So I'm going to a brunch, a restaurant that you can have like the constructor brunch, like 2 eggs, bacon, ham, croton, a pancake, toast. I really need that, and I'm not a coffee drinker. I never drink coffee, but when I'm hangover, I take a coffee, and that's kind of. It starts me a little bit better, but after that, I just take pills and drink a lot of water.
Excellent. Jerome?
My answer is going to be very boring, but it's basically morning and Gatorade.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that one, that's for sure. Jerome Yann, thank you so much for taking the time, talking about your lives. Your excellent non-alcoholic beers and a little bit about metal, but I'm a big fan. I like what you guys are doing. I'm excited to see where 2021 takes you guys. If anyone here in Quebec is looking for a nice alternative to craft beer and need to some balance in their life, Bière Sans Alcool is the beer for you. Thank you guys. Cheers.
Thank you very much,
Matt.
Cheers.
Hey, thank you all so much for listening right to the end. You know that I love and appreciate that. What a great chat. I am truly a big fan of this brewery throughout this month where I am not drinking alcohol. I have enjoyed a bunch of non-alcoholic craft beer, and I must say that Bière Sans Alcool are up there with the best of them here in Quebec. To think that they, are less than a year old and they're already just putting out stellar products on the Quebec craft beer market is something that is truly inspiring. I am very excited to see where they go next, what they're going to do. I've seen that, as they mentioned, they're dropping a Crispy Boy, a Czech lager. That is just about to drop here in Quebec right now, so I'm definitely going to get my hands on that and enjoy a nice Crispy Boy without any consequences of any alcohol. I am looking forward to that. So if you can get your hands on some Bière Sans Alcool, I strongly encourage you to do so because I love their products. If you enjoyed this Vox and Hops episode, you should subscribe to it on the podcast platform of your choice. But more than that, you should also take the time to rate it and write a review, because when you do that, more people just like yourself will be able to discover the Vox and Hops podcast. Don't forget, I have also just launched the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast's newsletter. You can sign up to that on my website, voxandhops.com. That is VOXandhops.com. And when you do that, you shall receive one email a week containing all of the details of everything that has happened in the world of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast throughout the past week. And I strongly encourage you to do that because there's a lot of cool things going on, and I don't want you to miss a single thing. I hope you have a glorious weekend. I am looking forward to relaxing with my family, getting out into the frozen world of Quebec the way it is here in Montreal right now. It's getting cold, but I love it. We go outside, we're sliding down the hill. It's super fun. So I hope that you guys have a great weekend. The Vox and Hops Metal Podcast is brought to you by Sound Talent Media. I will be back next week with yet again 3 episodes. But until then, remember to enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. Cheers, Vox and Hops heads.